This is the center back line of the culotte. The skirt is going to be straight down, okay? There are two differences. So the difference between the skirt and the culotte, one is here, you have the J seam with the culotte, and also you have a marking that you did. Remember, you all did a marking? So that marking represents the bottom of your zipper. The skirt has a notch there. So the notch represents the bottom of your zipper for your skirt. So I'm going to put a pin here to remind myself, making sure that this is lined up perfectly. Really important. So this is where now, when you're doing your seam allowances, you have to make sure you're exact, because then if you're not exact, then it can change the sizing of your garment. So there it is, we pinned it. So on your machine, you're set to standard stitch, so you have it at A and 2.5, but for this, we're actually going to put it to 4. It's going to be a basting stitch. And you're going to baste stitch, which I'm going to show you right now, at 1.5 seam allowance. So I'm starting here. You don't have to back stitch because you're eventually going to rip this out. So we're going to start. So please take your pins out as you go. So we're at a 4 stitch. And it moves a little faster because the stitch length is longer. So now I'm right here at my marking. So this is the bottom of my zipper. So now I'm going to change the stitch length back to 2.5 to there. Okay, so now I'm going to go about 2 to 3 stitches forward. 1, 2, 3, and back, because this is going to be the bottom of the zipper. So now we're doing a regular stitch. So for the culotte, we're going all the way around the J seam. So it's curved, so it can be a bit difficult. So just take your time. Let the machine pull the fabric in. And for the skirt, you're going to go straight down to the bottom of the hem. Unless you have the pencil skirt. So the pencil skirt, so now I'm stitching just a few stitches at the bottom of the J seam. The pencil skirt, for that one, it actually has a side seam opening so you can walk. So with the one that I did, so the pencil skirt, I have an exemplar over there. For that one, I wanted the opening to be in the center back. So I left about 6 inches at the bottom of the center back seam. Okay, so it's up to you whether you want the opening, the slit at the side or center back. So there it is. And now I'm going to open this up like that. And now you would go over to the iron and you would press this out nice and flat. And then you take your zipper. So remember your zipper. You have your zipper teeth. So the anatomy of the zipper is the zipper teeth, the zipper stopper, the zipper head, the pull, and then here's zipper tape. So the tape is on this side, the left, and the right of the zipper, okay? So now I'm gonna flip it over because eventually you're gonna open it up from this side. So you lined it up, so those little zigzags, those little pink stitches, or the pinked area there is right up at the top, so that's normal, because you're going to have a seam allowance there for your waistband. So I'm going to make sure that my zipper teeth are lined up exactly on this center back seam. So as I'm going along, I'm pinning down the one side. So press it out first so it lays nice and flat for you. Just because of time, I'm not doing it. So here, and also pin in a couple spots on the other side to keep it nice and flat. 1 and 2 and maybe 1 more. So then I have a needle with thread on it. It's right there. So it's right here. Okay, so here you're going to get a piece of thread, something a different color. So I use this fluorescent green. So use a different color than your actual fabric, your self fabric. There, so I doubled it over. And now I'm going to do a basting stitch by hand. So here I'm going to go in the middle of the zipper tape. So remember, there's the center, there's the edge, so in the middle. Because it also helps you, as it gives you guideline too. So I'm just going to come up. You don't have to knot it or anything. So you want to do a stitch maybe every centimeter. So you can fast forward this part. Sometimes it's easier if you're standing up. Okay, and up. And you want to do both sides, just because when you get a little bit, when you've done this a bunch of times, you can kind of skip some steps, but I find that when you're first learning, it's good to do all the way up down the one side. So up to the top, making sure. Okay, so this is the part. Now you come down the other side. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this just to kind of show you. So you're here. And back up. But you want to make sure this is laying nice and flat. Because if it's not, then your zipper is going to go in. It won't sit nicely. Okay, so you're coming up the other side. Right in the middle of the zipper tape. And eventually this will be ripped out, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just trying to keep the zipper nice and stable. Okay, we're up at the top. One, taking my pins out. All right, we're ready. So now we're back to the machine. So you have a zipper foot and you have the standard presser foot, okay? So in order to release it, there's a little lever on the back. Click it, comes off. There's a little bar there that fits right in that spot. Push in your lever, let it go, and then you're good. Okay, so now we're gonna flip this over. It's hard to see because the pattern, but see, there's the line. Your basting stitch all the way down. So you still have to mark the bottom of your zipper. So see, there's that silver stopper. So all I'm doing here is I can feel the stopper at the bottom. I'm gonna put a pin across here because that's gonna be the bottom of my zipper eventually, right? So I'm putting a pin to help guide myself. So I can feel the metal stopper right there. So you either go above the stopper or below it, because if you go right through the middle, you'll break your needle, I guarantee it. So there's a stopper, I'm going below. Okay. Now, another thing is that the top of the zipper head is very bulky, so you want to I start below it instead of starting here, and then you could sew off the zipper tape. I'm going to make sure I don't, so I'm going to start below. So I'm going to line this up. I can feel the zipper head right there, and then here, make sure you can see where I lined it up. So there's the center back seam there, and I'm about 1 millimeter away from that center back seam. So now, here we go. Standard stitch, A 2.5. You can't see the seam allowance. You just have to use this guidance, so the edge of the presser foot to this seam. Nice and slow. I'm gonna go a little faster. I'm staring at that distance between the edge of the presser foot and the center back seam. So I'm gonna come down to my zipper, or my little pin here. I'm gonna keep my finger there so I know where it is. There we go. I'm gonna keep my needle down and in. Lift up my presser foot. Now I wanna create a box, right? So I'm gonna pivot. So I'm gonna bring it around like this, make sure it's nice and flat. Put your presser foot down, and you're gonna count stitches, about 3. So hand walk it. 1, 2, 3 is actually perfect, right to the center. So how many stitches away? 3. So 1, 2, 3. Keep your needle down and in. Thank you. There. So now I can see that the distance is the same from the edge of the presser foot to your center back seam, and I'm going to come back up the side, making sure it's nice and flat. And I'm going to stop across from where I started. So my needle is down and in. I had a stitch ripper here. Here it is. So I'm going to keep my needle down and in, and I'm actually going to open this up a little bit. Very carefully, you don't want to rip your center back seam. So there, I ripped it open a little bit, and my needle is down and in. I'm going to lift up my presser foot and open this up just a little bit to maybe a centimeter or two past the new zipper presser foot, and I'm going to take the zipper head and I'm going to push it out of the way. So I'm going to push it back. So now it's out of the way. So it's there, don't have that bulkiness up at the top anymore. So I'm going to put that back down again, and I'm going to finish. And back stitch up at the top. And then I have to finish up on the other side. So again, as you line it up, put your needle down and in, reverse your stitch, and I'm going to come back to where I initially started, a couple stitches, just a back stitch, and we're done. So here, snip all your threads, and here, now I'm going to open up this, the bottom. Be very careful that you don't rip it. So you go all the way down to the bottom, just a bit. There's the spot here. And then you take out all these, you're gonna have lots of little tiny threads. You wanna take those out as well. Almost done here. 10 seconds. Okay, so there it is. Zipper's in. Okay, done.